The Run Cheltenham half marathon may seem flat on paper, but if you've not run the event, then it's really important that you listen to this video and see exactly what you have to look forward to. There are some tricks to this course, and you can really easily get caught out like a lot of people have at previous events. Hello, my name's Conor Graham, head coach at Cheltenham Running Club. We're at Run Cheltenham every year with a great bunch of members. We'll meet up beforehand and we'll do our event. We'll meet up afterwards, get some medal picks, and then head off for an after party in town in the afternoon. If you'd like to take part in any of that, you're absolutely welcome, no matter where you're coming from. We'd love to have you along at any point before, during, or after the race. So today we're going to talk you through the route, the weather. Okay, I'm recording this only a few days. It's Tuesday before the event on Sunday, so we can have a pretty good look at the weather and see what to expect, and also look at how any wind is going to affect things on the day, maybe what you're going to wear. This is a really useful video if you have not done Run Cheltenham before, or maybe you've had a go and it's not gone very well. And I can tell you from experience that is the case with so many people having gone out too quick at the start of Run Cheltenham and really suffered later on in the event. So here we are on the event page for the Run Cheltenham website. So this tab here, if we scroll down, we can see, so it is a 9 a.m. start. I'm not going to run through all these details of when things open up, but the later date, 21st of September, should in theory help a lot of people to finish the race, because it shouldn't be as hot as what it has been in the past. Okay, a lot of people have struggled to finish the event because they've put themselves in trouble, and then the heat has really taken over as it gets closer to 10 a.m, potentially 11 a.m. for some people. This heat can really affect you, but this year we've got a bit later into the year, and that should mean a cooler race. So as you can see, I'm going to come down and grab the exact route that they've published on the web page, so you know it's legit. I'm going to jump into Strava here. Here we can see this route was published back in May 2024, so that tells me that it is the same route as last year. So let's dive in. I'm not going to go full screen because I do want you to be able to see the hill profile. Okay, and the hill profile is huge. It's really important. I know it's not an off-road event, so the hills aren't anything like what you may see in a trail event, but when you are flying down Prestbury Road, just loving life and pleasantly surprised at how fast you're going, you are putting yourself at risk, because Run Cheltenham, whether it's the 10K or the half marathon, it is primarily a down and up event. All right, there is a lot more downhill all the way to this point, and let's see where exactly that is. So just the end of the Honeybourne Line here. So by the time you get to here, there is a huge risk that you have gone too fast. Okay, I know there's some ups and downs through the event, but effectively, if you've gone too quick by this point, you're really going to find it hard to finish. And it's not the same as Run Cheltenham in the past, where you could push yourself, find yourself in the racecourse and doing an awful lap around here, and that's what led to a lot of people really disliking Run Cheltenham. But in the final climb back up to the racecourse, there is a fair bit of uphill. And yes, you've got this downhill section here, but you want to be able to get to that downhill section with something in the tank, so you've got some bodily control as you roll down the hill to the finish line. So anyway, let's run through it from start to finish. So we will have our club warm-up right here in this area next to the start line. In fact, let's change over to satellite map. So there's plenty of room. We'll be doing strides basically up and down here. You're welcome to join us. We'll be meeting around 8:30 a.m, starting warm-up at 20 to 9, and then we'll jump into the pens. But yeah, Honeybourne Line, a road that we run very frequently with the club. It's pretty flat here. There is a downhill section just here. So rudely, they're making you run down this fairly steep part. Honeybourne Line is known for this little stretch here. And then you've got to turn around and climb back up it before you get to go down through Prestbury Chase and down to Prestbury Road. So this is a lovely downhill section here. It will be nice, but it's actually, I guess, as far as road events goes, it's quite steep. So it's not like a slow downhill like Prestbury Road is, where you can just let yourself go. Unfortunately, it's steep enough down here that you do actually have to waste some energy controlling your strides as you go down, unless you're one of the really fast guys, in which case you'll just let yourself fly down the hill, and it won't, cause you too much of an intensity spike. But yeah, that really is a key through this first phase, is just not letting your intensity, your heart rate, your perceived exertion rise too much through the first few kilometers, because it is very easy to do. There's more downhill, as mentioned, and then there's quite a lot of flat. Okay, so all through Cheltenham, through the centre here, this is all fairly flat. There's going to be loads of support through here. A fantastic part of the event is turning left. Is it here? No, here, onto the prom and heading up Montpellier Walk. There'll be loads of support here, loads of noise, and it will be fantastic. Obviously, the downside of loads of support and loads of noise is it can tempt us to run faster than what we maybe should. And I just want to attack this early. So I personally believe that in order for most people, except maybe the most experienced runners, I believe that most people, in order to really get the best experience in a running event, they should have some idea of what speed they're capable of achieving in the first half of the run, and a speed that will then enable them to potentially speed up in the second part of the run. And actually, I would even break it up as far as to say that I'd be holding onto that target speed all the way until we get to this point, the 15.4 kilometer mark, so to the end of the Honeybourne Line, because this is when the race really starts. There's a lot more uphill in that final, what is it? Oh, God damn it, we do maths. 5 kilometers of the race, 5.6k. So anyway, let's get back into it. So Montpellier Walk, this is an incline. Again, loads of support, so you may feel good. But yeah, it's definitely uphill, and you will feel it a bit. A lot of people will get to this flat and really feel like they have to do some recovery, and that's fine. You have got a decent amount of flat, although this here I think is also a climb as well. Okay, so just be aware that, yeah, and then you'll get back on the flat here, and you will, and then turning left towards the park campus. Okay, so we're doing a big lap of the park campus, again all fairly flat, before heading back. So this is just this is the price we pay for taking Run Cheltenham out of for taking the Cheltenham Racecourse out of the route, or one of the prices we pay. We've got to add something on somewhere else, and actually this is much easier than running around the racecourse, so you should be happy. So after the lap of park, we are then heading out towards Hatherley. You'll then be coming past Dean Close before jumping back on Lansdowne Road and heading back in towards town. So as you can see, we're then taking that left and back onto the top of Montpellier Walk. So this should all be fairly flat. There will be a point where you'll see lots of people, whether you are at the slower end of the event and you can see the fast guys running towards you down here and turning left, or whether you're one of the faster runners and obviously you'll see those behind you coming towards you. So a little bit of a psychological blow if you're not in the first quarter of the runners in the race. But anyway, if we progress on back down to Montpellier Walk, this is a lovely downhill. You've obviously run up it 30 to 60 minutes previous, and you'll appreciate the downhill, and again that real boost from the crowds that you'll find in town. You'll then weave a little bit through town around Royal Well, and then we get on to basically the start of the path that leads towards Waitrose and the Honeybourne Line. Okay, so there's no roads here. This is where the roads will finish for a while, and you'll be on footpaths. It can be a bit narrow, just depending on whereabouts you are in the pack. Previously, we had a lot of 10K runners who were, getting to this point where it narrows out, and then the faster half marathon runners are trying to get past them. So that was a bit of a choke point, and it probably will. I know it's not going to be as bad, hopefully, because the 10K runners are starting a lot earlier this time. So I think that's probably the reason that they've done it. So hopefully you'll have a clean run as a half marathoner coming towards the Honeybourne Line. So this is where we turn right onto the Honeybourne Line, and it's a little bit lumpy. It's not too bad. The Waitrose Bridge, basically, so you'll go underneath the road here. So there's a tunnel here, and then it's a steady climb up to the Waitrose Bridge here, and that will have you working quite hard, especially considering that we're now 14 kilometers into the race. But after that, it flattens out quite nicely along the Honeybourne Line and takes you to apparently the lowest part of the course, okay, which is there is a little downhill section here that takes you towards the Prince of Wales Stadium. So you'll turn right and head back onto the road now. So there's a Tommy Taylor's Lane, and yeah, lovely, nice and wide space to run on. It is slightly uphill here, and then you've got Albemarle Gate, which is fairly flat. There's a little bit of down and up, but nothing too much to worry about. In saying that, this is all preparing you for what's to come. By this stage, you have pretty much decided how successful your event is going to be. If you have averaged a higher speed than what you're capable of achieving for the entire race, then your speed is about to decrease, okay, because there is more uphill in this last section of the event. It's basically 1 to 2 kilometers, so it's 2 kilometers from here, I think, to I was looking at the 10K route. So yeah, you've still got 4 or 5 kilometers left from Prince of Wales to the finish. So this bit is all a bit tricky. Instead of me trying to take you around it, I'm going to use the profile so you can see where the blue marker is. Okay, so from Prince of Wales Stadium, we're on to Albemarle Gate, and we've got a right-hand turn. So this is a nice downhill section on Evesham Road, taking you out towards the end of Pitfield Park. This bit's fairly flat where I am here, and then you'll turn left. In fact, all of this is very flat. So this should all be, well, I say easy enough, but we are coming into the last 3 kilometers of the race, which is never easy in a half marathon unless you've been holding a lot back. And just here is basically we're coming on to Albert Road. So this will start to climb now before we turn left onto the Honeybourne Line, on towards the pump room. So this section is nice and flat after a steady climb here, and this will hurt. You'll then get to run downhill, knowing and seeing everyone else on the other side of the park who's running up the hill. So again, this is another price we pay for skipping the Cheltenham Racecourse. This will hurt, and this, while very short, will hurt. In fact, this will hurt as well. So Hillcourt Road is uphill, whether you like it or not. You can see the elevation that we're having to basically gain from this point, which is, elevation 57 meters, up to the highest point back on Honeybourne Line, 72. Okay, so it may not look like a lot in terms of numbers, but this late in the race, it's going to hurt. Okay, and as I've mentioned or warned earlier, the faster you've gone earlier on in the event, the harder this is going to be. Imagine you could be overtaking a lot of people who have spent too much earlier in the race at this point of the event, or you could be one of those people who just feels like they're going backwards. You've literally, you're just in survival mode, trying to get to the top of the hill so that you can then roll down to the finish. So yeah, I mean, as I say, it doesn't look that big a deal on paper, but year after year after year, people complain about how hard Run Cheltenham is. Partially, it was due to the time of year, the heat, but I think that what people don't realise is just the amount of uphill there is at the end of the event, and the temptation with all of this lovely downhill and flat, the temptation to go faster than what you're actually capable of. Let's just quickly jump into the weather, because it will impact things. It is colder than what it has been. In fact, yeah, we all know that the weather's turned a bit, so we're sort of expecting these sorts of temperatures, 15 degrees, consistently in Cheltenham, at least for the last few weeks. The wind has been coming from the southwest, and that will be the case on race day. So you can see every day it's coming from the same location pretty much. So I think it's pretty reliable to say that, when you are running down Pressbury Road, you want to be tucked in behind a bunch of people. Okay, this should be the most enjoyable part of your race, running down Pressbury Road. It's a gradual decline. There's going to be a little bit of headwind. So if you're tucked in behind someone or a few people, it's going to shelter you from the wind. If you are not tucked in behind people, you're going to waste a lot of energy here so early in the route. Why not just tuck in behind people? It's not cheating to just have them shield the wind for you. It is basically just saving some energy. When else is that wind going to affect? Basically every time you're heading southwest, right? So there's not that many times, okay, I guess down here. But then obviously on the flip side, coming up the Honeybourne Line, hopefully that's going to feel really nice. You're going to get a bit of a tailwind there, and that's going to help you out. Right when you probably really need to just regather yourself and just think about what's to come. Okay, if you are blitzing it, running with the wind and thinking, oh, this is free speed, you're wrong, unfortunately. If you push with a tailwind, it will still eat into your reserves more than if you are cruising with a tailwind, and actually more than if you're cruising without a tailwind. So don't just assume that because you've got the wind behind you that you can fly. Okay, there's still a decent amount of time left in this race that you want to get through. So use this as a recovery, not as some sort of bonus free speed. Okay, temptation is going to be to wear a lot of clothing. I would resist this. If you're comfortable wearing a vest, then I would wear a vest, but show up with a long sleeve top over the top. Maybe even a running jacket over the top of that if you want to be really cozy before the event. Maybe even some track pants. Do your warm-up, then strip off. I know you're not going to be able to then dump your bag in the bag drop so close to the race, in the last 10 minutes before the race. I personally many times have just tied my top and tracksuit bottoms to one of the railings and just collected after the race. No one's going to steal it. In saying that, don't come chasing me if they do. But I think that it's worth the risk, given it's horrible standing around in shorts and a vest before a race in the cold, waiting to warm up, waiting to meet people. You're much better off being warm at that stage, doing your warm-up, doing a vigorous warm-up, stripping off as you warm up, and then just collecting your stuff afterwards. For those prefer a t-shirt, absolutely, it's going to be cool enough to run in a t-shirt for a lot of people who would normally run in a t-shirt. Wouldn't be worried about having to wear a vest. But yeah, if you're used to wearing a vest, I'd be racing in a vest, because 15 degrees, you're going to generate a lot of heat throughout this event. I wouldn't worry about being cold during the race. So final tips, please look at your recent long runs. Hopefully you've got up to around 18 kilometers or further, in the weeks before the event. Look back at your run data and see what speeds you were doing. If you've done 18K, and you've achieved a certain speed, that you're going to be capable of doing that for 21K on race day. If you're going to run much faster than that from the very first few kilometers of the race, or even the first 10 kilometers of the race, you're putting yourself at huge risk for really having a horrible finish. Okay, and that's really the whole point of this video, is to reduce the risk of you having a horrible event. We have seen people collapse in the event. We've had members have to pull out of the event, and when we look back at their run data, it's always due to pacing, sometimes a little bit of dehydration as well, but most of the time it's either bad pacing or just not having done enough long distance running in the prep for the event. So it's too late to change that one. You still have control over your pacing. Be honest with yourself. Look back at the race data, the run data, and keep checking your watch or whatever app you've got, so that you keep your average speed at a pace which is sustainable for at least the first, well, for the entire event, and then look to pick up the pace later on. Yeah, the more you're used to dealing with speeds during your runs, the more aggressive you can be with that target speed in the first half or first 3/4 of the race. But just remember, you've got a lot of uphill in the finish, and yeah, you want to enjoy this event. So anyway, that's it from me. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you get a lot out of it. Love to see you before the event for warm-up. You're welcome to join in for our warm-up. Love to see you afterwards. We'll be right there at the finish line with a flag, taking some photos. And then if you want to come for some food and a drink at the Exmouth in town afterwards, you're more than welcome. We should be there from 1 or 2 o'clock all afternoon. Thanks for watching. Comment, let us know how it went. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe.